Former Vice President Kamala Harris cozied up to her usual crowd of Hollywood elites last week, delivering a speech full of predictable jabs at Donald Trump during a conference in Orange County, Southern California. It was exactly the kind of setting where she knew her words would be met with applause among actors, directors, producers, and multimillionaire influencers who pretend to represent the moral conscience of America while living lives entirely detached from the reality most Americans face. Let's be honest, Hollywood has become the loudest megaphone for progressive politics, yet it's one of the most insulated, privileged, and hypocritical communities in the country. When Kamala Harris shows up at these events and throws red meat to the elite, it's not about solutions or unity. It's about affirming a shared ideology, a performance for the benefit of those who already agree with her. These speeches aren't meant for working-class Americans. They're for the Twitter crowd, the Vanity Fair readers, and the Academy Awards audience who see themselves as saviors while contributing nothing meaningful to the average person's daily life. The Hollywood crowd loves to pretend they speak for the voiceless, but what they really mean is they speak over everyone else. They lecture middle America from behind their gated communities, virtue signal from their private jets, and donate to causes that sound good at cocktail parties but do little to address actual suffering. These are the same people who said Trump had no chance, who mocked his supporters as uneducated and backward, and who still, after all this time, can't comprehend how he won. They couldn't understand it in 2016, they doubled down in 2020, and they still live in a bubble where they believe their curated moral outrage should be enough to steer the national conversation. And therein lies the problem. Hollywood, and by extension, the political figures who cling to its approval, don't understand the American people anymore. They don't understand the truck driver in Ohio who watched his job disappear, while celebrities in LA celebrated outsourcing and praised globalism as a win for humanity. They don't understand the single mom in Texas trying to navigate rising grocery prices and skyrocketing rents, while Hollywood types demand climate pledges and tax hikes from air-conditioned press rooms. They don't understand the farmer in Iowa facing drought and economic uncertainty, while influencers sip $20 smoothies on Instagram Live. They don't understand the welder in Michigan who's been laid off 3 times in 10 years, or the diner waitress in Georgia who's been juggling 2 jobs and still can't afford health care. These are the people Trump resonated with, not because he was polished or politically correct, but because he actually acknowledged them. He didn't talk down to them. He didn't pretend their pain wasn't real. He didn't offer them identity politics or lectures about privilege. He offered them recognition. He offered them blunt, unfiltered rhetoric that, while often abrasive, felt honest. He talked about bringing jobs back. He talked about ending endless wars. He talked about securing the border, not out of cruelty, but out of a belief in national stability. And he did it all while enduring nonstop mockery from the same elites who now scratch their heads wondering why their message doesn't land. For these Americans, it wasn't about agreeing with every word out of Trump's mouth. It was about finally feeling seen. After years of being dismissed as flyover country, ignored by both parties, and blamed for all of America's ills, someone stood up and said, "You matter." Hollywood can't comprehend that because it's never had a struggle. The industry thrives on illusion, both in its content and its self-image. It sells fantasy, lives in fantasy, and views the real world through the distorted lens of privilege. The coastal elites believe they know what's best for the heartland, yet they wouldn't last a week living in the conditions many Americans face. They champion open borders while living in exclusive neighborhoods protected by walls and security. They push green energy while driving Teslas subsidized by taxpayer dollars from working-class Americans who can't afford the down payment. They post Black Lives Matter slogans while starring in films shot in countries with human rights abuses. The disconnect is staggering and growing. And the more the elites in Hollywood pat each other on the back and signal their moral superiority, the more resentment they fuel in the communities they ignore. Because people see through it. They see that the people on TV, in the magazines, and on the podiums don't speak for them. They see the condescension, the arrogance, the unwillingness to listen. And they're turning away. Trump tapped into that. Not perfectly, not always gracefully, but he tapped into something real, something the ruling class still hasn't figured out how to address without pretending it doesn't exist. Kamala Harris aligning herself with a Hollywood elite isn't just tone deaf. It's symbolic of a broader disconnect between the ruling class and the average citizen. It's a photo op, a headline grab, and a nod to donors who care more about maintaining power and prestige than solving real problems. And when Harris criticizes Trump in these settings, it's not bravery, it's pandering. Because let's face it, it's easy to bash Trump in a room full of celebrities. It's safe, it's fashionable, but it does nothing to bridge the gap between political elites and the citizens they claim to represent. It's just more noise in a culture already drowning in virtue signaling. Hollywood doesn't speak for the heartland. It doesn't speak for the people struggling to make ends meet, the people dealing with crime in their communities, or the people tired of being told they're evil for simply wanting a secure border, safe neighborhoods, and jobs that don't disappear overnight. Hollywood speaks for itself, for its image, for its brand. And the worst part? They actually believe they're the heroes. They believe they're on the right side of history because they reposted a hashtag or wore a ribbon on the red carpet. Meanwhile, the average American is just trying to afford gas, avoid getting mugged walking home, and figure out how to raise a family in a world that's increasingly hostile to traditional values. Kamala Harris may feel empowered standing in front of movie stars and media moguls, but she should remember, those aren't the people who decide elections. Those aren't the people who represent the majority. Those are the people who cheered when Hillary Clinton called half the country a basket of deplorables. And they're the same people who will be stunned, yet again, when Trump or someone like him surges in the polls. The truth is, Americans are sick of being told what to think by people who don't live like them, don't work like them, and don't care about them. They're tired of being mocked by late-night hosts, scolded by Oscar winners, and preached to by pop stars. And they're tired of politicians like Kamala Harris using these platforms to virtue signal while doing nothing to address the real issues. The homelessness crisis? Skyrocketing in California, right under Hollywood's nose. Crime? Up in every major city, run by the same ideology these actors promote. Inflation? Devastating for the middle and lower class, while celebrities drop six figures on handbags and designer dogs. And through all this, the elites still act confused when Americans push back, when they vote differently, when they reject the narrative. It's not because they're dumb or hateful. It's because they're done being lied to. They're done being condescended to by people who have no skin in the game. Trump, for all his flaws, gave these people something the elite refused to: attention, acknowledgement, and the sense that someone was finally fighting for them. That terrifies the ruling class. That's why Hollywood and politicians like Harris work overtime to demonize him and his supporters. Because they know their grip is slipping. They know the more people wake up to the disconnect, the more the illusion falls apart. So while Kamala Harris enjoys standing ovations in Orange County, the rest of the country watches with growing skepticism. Because the more Hollywood cheers, the more disconnected they reveal themselves to be. And when the next election rolls around, they might find out, again, that the American people don't take orders from movie stars. But what do you guys think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like the video and subscribe for more content.